How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we're talking about this, that, and everything in between. And an hour late for the show. We're still working on this internet situation, but we had the fluctuations that happened right when we tried to tee off. So hopefully we've gotten past that hurdle and we're able to stream through without any issues today. We are doing a countdown for the relocation where we'd be able to stream from a better network area. And as long as projections are correct, we should be seeing more viable service, which should give us more stable connection, which means we'll start streaming in that high 4K definition scenario. Till then, just bear with us. Remember to like and subscribe, guys. We really appreciate you guys coming to the podcast. Better late than never is a good observation. Better late than never. So make sure that you like and subscribe. Also, make sure that you try to join the membership if you can. For those of you that are just coming into the show, make sure that if you decide that you want to jump in and say what you want to say in real time, that you click the link that's going into the comment section now and approve the mic, approve the camera. It brings you onto the show in real time, and we're able to have an open forum, open mic discussion in real time, and try to keep the comments, statements positive. If you're doing a shout out to the friends and family, you can do so. And if you have any questions or topics that's on point or off point, either way, we are able to we are able to entertain those third-party conversations. So let's go ahead and dive into the situation and see what we got going on before we go full on into the situation. I also want to make sure that I give a special shout out to you guys that are on Twitch and those guys that are on Twitter. As we air on Twitch and Twitter, you guys got to know that Omni81 and Red Void out of Romania, Omni81 out of Brazil. We ran both of those shows over the weekend. I remember we ran Romania on Friday, Brazil on Saturday. We've got, I do believe, Dubai tomorrow. I believe we're also going to start coming soon. We're going to be talking about what is fintech, because fintech is being promoted by a large quantity of countries. So we're going to be trying to figure out what is fintech and go into deep discussions on that. So we've got a lot of things coming up, and I'm excited about that. So just make sure that you follow us throughout the week, because we got a different topic every week while we're trying to get this big business idea off the ground. Today, we are talking about something that kind of came up in conversation, and we actually talked about something related to this a while back. And the reason why we talked about it was because we were talking about a singular currency, and we were talking about the singular currency back when we were talking about the communist model, because we kind of compared the Star Trek economy as more of a communist model, because they had no currency exchanges. There were no bartering, buying or selling of goods. It was just like, get up, do your part for the day, and then go back to your room. And the size of your room supported the size of your family, and whatever you wanted, you just went out to the common areas and went and got it. And then you brought whatever you got back to back to your own personal room, and that was a wrap. And it was like, wait a minute, think about it. There's no currency exchange. Well, how do you get to a country or a world where there's no currency exchange? First thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have one unified currency. And then after you get a unified currency, you're going to end up with no need for currency, where people are just going to do for one another, and everybody's going to share all the resources equivocally. But in order for us to get there, you have to first get past the multiple risings and falls of different global currencies, including the IMF's world currency, which we were talking about the rainbow currency at one point in time, which was a cryptocurrency that was supposed to bypass cash currency, a singular global currency. We have U.S. global currency, well, U.S. cryptocurrency. There's U.S. dollar in crypto form. You can go find that. And other forms of cryptocurrency that buy and trade against the Bitcoin, since Bitcoin was the first cryptocurrency to ever come out. And the value of Bitcoin is pretty far up there. But we have to definitely look into one of the currencies that has been coming about for a decent number of years, which is the currency of BRICS. And I just wanted to dive into this world currency of BRICS, where we challenge ourselves to find out if this could be the next global currency superpower. And I wanted to be able to go into exactly where this comes from, who all is involved, the same way the euro was involved, and how far they've come and what their goals are utilizing this particular type of currency. Because it's almost like that series on Netflix called Startup, where the girl had created the cryptocurrency algorithm, and then the people bought her out, and then she had to create a different crypto algorithm where the people they were competing against one another. It was a very awesome story. So beyond that point, let me go ahead and move forward with this so that you can kind of see where we're going with it. BRICS, and you're going to love this because it's an acronym. It stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, is BRICS. So these are the 5 countries that are forming a coalition of emerging economies that has the potential to reshape the global economic landscape. Now, with the combined GDP of over $25 trillion, and U.S. currency currently has a total deficit of $30 trillion, you can only see how that makes a big difference. These nations are becoming increasingly influential in international trade and finance. But what if I told you that they're not just stopping at being influential, but are actually working towards creating a new global currency standard? The US dollar has long been the dominant force in global trade, and for good reason. It's the most widely held and widely used currency in international transactions. But with the rise of emerging economies, the dollar's grip on the global economy is starting to loosen. The problem is the dollar's dominance is deeply entrenched in the global financial system, making it difficult for any new currencies to challenge its status. BRICS nations face a significant challenge in establishing a new currency standard, as they would need to convince other nations to hold and use their currency instead of the dollar. Now, the BRICS nation aim to enhance economic collaborations among member countries, focusing on mutual development and addressing global challenges. They seek to establish a counterbalance to Western economic influence and promote a multipolar world. In addition, the focusing members, BRICS has expanded its membership to include countries like Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia, and United Arab Emirates, with discussions ongoing to further expansion. The BRICS countries hold annual summits where leaders discuss various issues, including trade, investment, and political corporations. The first official summit took place back in 2009 in Yekaterinburg, Russia. I probably pronounced it incorrectly, but I'm going to run with it. And collectively, BRICS countries account for approximately 30% of the world's land area and about 45% of the global population. Talk about taking over. Their combined GDP is significant. Around $28 trillion is making them the substantial force in the global economy because they got more positive income than America's got negative debt. The group established the New Development Bank, NDB, to finance infrastructure projects and sustainable development initiatives within member countries and other emerging economies. A reserve currency pool has also been created to enhance financial stability among member nations. BRICS serves as a platform for discussing international issues such as climate change, security challenges, and economic reforms in institutions like the World Bank and International Monetary Funds, IMF. It represents a collective voice for developing countries in global governance decisions. Despite these challenges, the dollar's dominance is not without its drawbacks. For one, it creates an uneven playing field where countries that don't have the luxury of printing the global reserve currency are at a significant disadvantage. The dollar's reign also perpetuates a system where the U.S. gets to dictate the terms of international trade and finance, which can be detrimental to other nations' interests. Additionally, the dollar's value can be violated. It's a very volatile scenario, causing economic instability for countries that hold large amounts of dollar denomination assets. And you can't trust it because remember, U.S. is not backing its money by gold anymore. They're backing their money by faith. So if you try to cash in that U.S. dollar and they decide that they're not going to pay the value of it, you don't have any money. Paper's just paper until somebody's willing to give you some bricks to go along with that paper. Another issue with the dollar's dominance is that it creates a system where countries are forced to hold large amounts of dollar reserves, which can be a drag on their economies. The IMF has estimated that the total amount of dollar reserves held by countries around the world is over $7 trillion. That's the staggering amount of wealth that could be put to better use in these countries' domestic economies. Reducing dependency on the US dollar will allow the BRICS nation to have a vocal position about their desire to reduce reliance on the US dollar for international trade, and this move towards de-dollarization has gained traction, particularly in response to US sanctions and trade wars, which has highlighted the vulnerability associated with dollar dependency. The alternative currency proposal allows leaders from BRICS countries to have discussed creating a new currency or utilizing a basket of their currencies for trade. And this would allow members of the nation to conduct transactions without relying on the dollar. A new plan for a BRICS currency at the recent summits have been allowing discussions about developing the BRICS currency that could serve as a reserve currency for member nations, such as a currency that could potentially be backed by commodities like gold. Again, where money used to not be backed by gold in the last 30 or 40 years, providing stability and appealing to countries seeking alternatives to the dollar. Now, remember, when economies start becoming volatile, most investors run to the gold. So for those of us who have business trades and transactions that are backed by gold, you are definitely getting your money's worth if it is backed by gold. If your deal is backed by gold and you go to cash in, you're going to get your money's worth in gold, which sometimes can be valued at far more in the long run than what your deal was when you first started your deal, if you're getting it by weight. If you're getting it by value, then the quantity of gold you get might be less in comparison to the inflation of gold. But we talked about that with our gold topic week before last, as a matter of fact. Now, blockchain-based payment systems has BRICS nations exploring this particular type of technology to facilitate cross-border transactions, which could further reduce reliance on traditional banking systems dominated by Western currencies, increasing bilateral trades. And BRICS countries are actively increasing these bilateral trade agreements, allowing them to conduct transactions in their local currencies rather than in the dollar or the euro. For example, China and Russia have already begun trading in their own currencies. Trade agreements with other nations allows countries like India and Brazil to also advocate for agreements with other nations to trade using local currencies or alternative benchmarks, further promoting the idea of de-dollarization. The political unity against Western influence is causing BRICS to serve as a platform for member countries to unite against Western economic dominance by presenting a collective front, and they aim to reshape global economic governance structures that have historically favored Western intersects. Engagements with other emerging economies allows the expansion of BRICS to include additional countries. And we're coming to look at also Saudi Arabia and Iran as some of the countries that will enhance geopolitical influence and create a large bloc that can negotiate more effectively against Western powers. So we went from, at the beginning of this discussion, 5 countries to now as many as 10 countries that could all be involved in the same unified currency position, countering the singular currency from the United States. 10-1. I like those odds. I usually bet for the underdog. USA, USA. Just saying. All right, so the international disagreement that comes about as a result of this, despite these initiatives, internal conflicts among BRICS members regarding economic policies and governance may hinder progress towards establishing a unified currency or cohesive economic strategy. You have skepticism from analysis, where experts express doubts about the feasibility of creating a new BRICS currency that could effectively compete with the dollar or euro due to differences in economic stability and governance amongst member nations. The economic strength of BRICS nations are undeniable. China is the world's second largest economy, and India is the fastest growing major economy. Russia has world's largest natural gas reserves, while Brazil is the leader in agricultural production. South Africa is the most developed economy in Africa with a sophisticated financial system. All reasons that you could go and invest in each one of these countries individually and be able to make yourself a decent quantity of global capitalization for any type of international investment firm, for foreigners that are going to be investing in offshore companies. Just think about that. The collaboration of these economies could create a powerful bloc that challenges existing financial systems. So one of the key benefits of BRICS nation collaborating on a new currency standard is that it would allow them to reduce their dependency on the dollar. And this is going to create a new currency that's not controlled by the US. These nations could reduce the risk associated with holding dollars denomination assets, and they would also have more control over their monetary policies, allowing them to better respond to domestic economic conditions. However, there's also the potential drawbacks to a BRICS-led currency standard. For one, it could lead to a fragmentation of the global financial system, where countries are forced to choose between different currency blocks. This could lead to a decline in international trade. This also could lead to a decline in international investments, as countries are hesitant to transact across country boundaries, we will see in addition that the creation of the new currency standard would require significant coordination and cooperation amongst BRICS nations, which means that all 5 or 10 countries would all have to work together in spite their differences in order to see a currency such as that progress. The same way the multiple countries that are utilizing the euro makes the euro that much more durable, I would have to say. But remember, we had that near economic crash where the euro wasn't holding its value and they had to have a bailout from the US. If BRICS runs down this area, you're going to have 10 countries that may have a difficulty in currency destabilization, especially since it is the lesser developed countries partnering with China and not having the backing. It's also worth noting that a BRICS-led currency standard could lead to a decline in the value of the dollar, which could have significant implications for the U.S. economy. The dollar's value is closely tied to the U.S. status as a global image. A decline in its value could lead to the decline in the U.S. global influence. So the big boss status of the U.S. is not going to be the big boss status of the U.S. anymore if the U.S. becomes the second most powerful economic currency in the world. So this could lead to a period of economic instability as the global financial system adjusts to the new reality. So what's the pivotal moment or decision that could single BRICS intent to become a global currency superpower? Well, one possible scenario is if BRICS nations were to announce a new currency agreement where they would jointly issue a new currency that's backed by a basket of their currencies. This would be a bold move as it would require significant coordination and cooperation among the BRICS nations, but it would also send a powerful signal to the world that they're serious about challenging the dollar's dominance. Another possible scenario is if BRICS nations were to announce the new International Development Bank model after the IMF and World Bank, and this bank would provide financing for development projects in emerging economies, but it would also create an alternative to existing international financial institutions that are dominated by the US and Europe. This would give BRICS nations more control over their development financing and would allow them to promote their own economic interests more effectively. If they were to announce that particular type of World Bank, you know that they're going to have investment opportunities in that particular type of World Bank, encouraging foreign investors to put their money into that bank with a large quantity of interest returns in order to have that money as a reserve. Now, if their rates are better than the U.S. rates, because, you know, Treasury bonds from the U.S. is 0.9%, I think it is right now. If they're offering better interest rates for their Treasury bonds, then you would be able to go and invest in their currency the same way you can go and try to figure out how to invest in the euro and draw back interest off of somebody holding the value of your money to back their money. And you're sending US dollars over there to back BRICS. Hey, make money for you, right? So one of the things we really want to point out is that the rise of BRICS nations is a significant development in global economy's landscape. And BRICS has evolved from an investment concept into a significant geopolitical and economic alliance. By fostering corporations among its members, BRICS aims to enhance their influence on the global stage while addressing shared challenges. The group's ability to adapt and expand its members reflects its growing importance in international relationships and economic development. The BRICS coalition is actively working to establish itself as a viable competitor to the US dollar and euro through de-dollarization initiatives, potentially allowing new currency development and strengthening the trade relations amongst the members in the country. While challenges remain, particularly regarding international cohesion and global acceptance of the new currency, the group's efforts reflect a significant shift in the global economic landscape aimed at reducing Western dominance in international finance. Whether or not they can successfully challenges the dollar's dominance remains to be seen. So we're still looking at it. But one thing is clear. The world is watching, and the implications of their actions will be felt for years to come. So I'm sitting over here wondering, this was a lot of information for you guys to adhere to, and I'm just sitting over here wondering. First of all, if you guys have some comments, you can throw those comments down below. Put your thoughts in about BRICS, and you can if you have any questions or comments about it and the potential in becoming a currency superpower. And definitely make sure that you pay attention to the videos that we have coming up if you want to learn more about global economics, and be sure to check out some of the other things that we're going to be doing with the yen as a global reserve. So note to self, because I sat here and I was like, man, BRICS is going to be a very thick topic to talk about. It is a very powerful topic to talk about. And I understand that in today's times that we have less people leaning towards currency exchanges and more people leaning towards the things that affect them in the here and now, things that affect them in their own personal countries. So I understand that. But I also understand that, the more you know, the more that you can do. So I thought that this was a very interesting topic for us to discuss. And I understand that this is going to lead to some of the other topics that we're going to be talking about in the near future. So I wanted to make sure that I covered it, because I'm going to be piecing this stuff together. Typically every week after I've come across quite a few topics that if you sat through it, you might have thought to yourself, that might not be what I was thinking about listening to today. You're going to come to find out, like, holy dip, I can't believe that what Xander said last week and the week before and the week before led to this. Well, that's typically how this works. I typically give you guys a large plethora of information that could lead you guys into a scenario where you're going to be like, oh, wow, this is deep. And we're going to have to pick it apart. So as I try to pick it apart on a day-to-day basis to get us into that position, you got to understand this dynamic shift leads us to the things that people weren't ready to see and hear. So today is going to be another one of those short shows. I definitely really appreciate you guys coming to the show today. Make sure that you like and subscribe, and note that we are live 7 days a week. We typically try to start at about 9 Eastern, 8 Central, 5 Pacific. Today we started about an hour late, and we're actually running it off on a half hour early. We typically run an hour-long show, but unfortunately, between 5 or 10 countries worth of unified currency, we did not have a full hour's discussion. So, wow, look at that. The light from the heavens. So we're going to wrap things up a little bit early. Bear in mind, every time I wrap things up early, I add more topics to the show. So make sure that you take a look, because I'm going to spend the next half hour expanding on, well, the next hour, actually, hour or two, expanding on the upcoming shows that we're going to be having for next week, because I will be trying to talk about what is fintech and some of the other topics that you guys come up with. They don't have to be business or finance related, as long as they are reasonably appropriate, you can give me just about any topic under the sun, and I will do some digging, and we'll have a whole show about it, and we'll talk about the things that matter to you guys. So anything that you're interested in, you just let me know. You drop it into the comment sections, either on this show, after this show, or in any of the other shows that you come across. You put your observations down, your understandings and questions about, and we'll go ahead and cover that story in an appropriate fashion. Also, remember that if in the event that you ever want to dive in, you can always approve the mic, approve the camera on the link in the comment section, and you can always come up onto the stage if you're over the age of 18 and join into the open mic, open forum discussions, and be able to put your own personal 2 cents in real time instead of trying to follow through with the lag in the comment section. With that being said, yeah, that is all I have for you guys for this afternoon. So what I'm going to say is, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking y'all to make it make sense. So ladies, make it make sense. And fellas, strongly appreciate you guys showing that support. Special shout out to Red Void and Omni81 and Liberty Twitcher off of the Twitch platform. And I'm your host with Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between on our show, This and That. I'm going to see you guys tomorrow night.